Hello and welcome. Isn't this exciting? I got my orange iced tea and my wolf blanket. And I want to start making videos, but to do that, I want to do it mindfully. So you'll have to excuse if we take things slowly through each of my videos. We take our time and we breathe. Because isn't just a little bit of pause something we could all benefit from? I'm just coming off of a 30-day or roughly a month social media cleanse. And boy, howdy, was that rejuvenating. And I never realized just how much that impacted my mind, constantly being on the web, checking it either on my computer or on my phone. And it was funny, after the first couple of days of being on this cleanse, I would just subconsciously or unconsciously, I would go to my phone and swipe to click, but the icon for Facebook and Instagram wasn't there. And so I thought that was kind of funny. But I'm gonna make another video that goes fully into the health benefits and the mental benefits of not being on social media constantly. And I think I found a healthy balance now, because I want to be an active participant, especially because it's a great connection tool to the many people in my life that I miss dearly. But one thing is, I don't think I'm going to be adding a couple of them back onto my phone. Obviously, Instagram, you have to. But yeah, I'll go ahead and make another video and share with that. But today's video is, I want to talk a little bit about the realization I had during these past 30 days of what's leading me back into pastoral work. In my early 20s, I started a church, founded a church, and was a pastor for 2 years of a congregation of about 50 people. On Sundays, we fluctuate between like 20 and 40, but overall, we had about 50 members. And boy, howdy, that was a wild and fun, invigorating, crazy time. I learned so much. And obviously, being that young, it was definitely jumping into something and learning as you go. And what I love is, to this day, some people say that that was a period of their life that they really felt connected. And now, since moving from Arizona and being in Colorado, Bayfield, Colorado, just outside of Durango, there's really not a spiritual hub here. There's some stuff in Durango, but not in Bayfield. And being away from my community in Arizona, it's something that it's for the past 6 months, it's been itching on the back of the mind, that spiritual kinship. Being in a room full of people that you could be fully transparent with, fully authentic with, talk about any topic without egos getting involved, because that's what we work on. We work on releasing the ego. And so something I've missed, and I've talked to quite a few individuals here in town, and I guess that's one thing that keeps coming up, people seeking a spiritual community without all the strings or the dogma attached. And obviously there's plenty of churches around, and I think that's fantastic, and it works for folks who that works for. But they don't always, most actually don't teach about the ego. They don't teach about impermanence. They don't teach about attachment and how we can truly be at inner peace. There's many other methods that they teach for peace, but not the ones that we learn in more of a Zen sense of mind, if you will. And so a quote, kind of a quote, I shortened it from Thich Nhat Hanh, but I wanted to share an excerpt from Cultivating the Mind of Love by Thich Nhat Hanh. If you have a spiritual sangha, aka community, it's easy to nourish your seeds of enlightenment. If you don't have anyone who understands you, who encourages you in the practice of the living Dharma, aka peace teachings, your desire to practice may wither. Your community, family, friends, co-practitioners is the soil, and you are the seed. Let's breathe that in. Your community, your family, friends, and co-practitioners is the soil, and you are the seed. And I think all of us can definitely think back to a time where we may have been in connection with someone that we really got on with, and we could have deep conversations with. And then it could be one person, it could be a family, it could be an actual spiritual community. And then when you're taken from it, you move away, or in my case, I moved away. And then I know there's a lot of individuals that used to be part of our community, and some still are, but it was a big life shift for many individuals. And for me personally, and from some of our old community members I've heard from, it definitely changes things when you're not surrounded by people that are working towards a similar goal. And after all, our culture here in the West, and it seems to be increasing throughout the world, there's this ever increasing with technologies, instant gratification. And it's interesting how, especially in our youth, so many people are communicating more through texting or emails or social media, rather than sitting down in silence with each other and without any distraction. And that's what we used to do at my old center, and just be with each other for an hour and talk about important topics, or even just simple things, the gratitudes and the joys, and just how healing that is. And so having a supportive community nourishes us. And when we're trying to practice on our own, though that can be very noble and, sure, we can do it, it's not the same as if you're actually having heart-to-heart connections with individuals. And I think a lot of us just kind of, it's almost, I don't want to say this word because it sounds harsh, but it's almost like we give up. We give up our search, and instead of trying to create something, we just kind of resign into our own isolation. And I noticed there was definitely moments these past 6 months where I almost kind of did that. I felt the little ego creeping in, but of course I don't want to say push through it, because again, that's resistance, but I worked through it. I flowed through it, and it's led me to this moment where my husband Andrew and I were talking, and it's definitely time for us to start sooner than expected the church, Dunisha Church, the Church of Dunisha, which will be starting in January 2019. The whole process of getting the nonprofit and the 501c3 status, so we can accept donations and give people tax deductions, write-offs for it, all that fun stuff. Because I like getting that energy exchange. If people give us a big donation, obviously I want something that they're getting in return, especially if they're not local and able to participate. But again, it's this vision that we're all supporting. And so, speaking of the vision, I created this little packet. It's so cute. And I wanted to just read a couple things about what is Dunisha and the vision, and then we'll go from there and just see where that takes us. And so you'll have to excuse me since I'll be reading. I won't be making eye contact, which I generally like to do. And so we're just going to be starting this in January, 1 o'clock on Sundays. And it is my hope to create videos for individuals not local that can still be active participants. So what is Dunisha? Dunisha is the peace and healing way of earth and spirit. Our focus is on the cultivation of inner peace and the development of lasting harmony among all people. We achieve this goal by practicing the teachings of the Living Peace Code and honoring the natural cycles and wisdom that the earth provides. The following pages will go into greater depth of the Church's doctrine. And so Living Peace Code, that is from my book, Living Peace, which I'm actually creating a revised edition for this this winter, this Yule time, this Christmas time in December. It's in the final editing phase right now. I published it in 2014, and I just through this 30-day quietude of being off social media, I was able to rewrite and add some important revisions to it to make it even more of an efficient read, since I've grown in these past 4 years, and so definitely my ability to speak and teach has and write as well. And so the Living Peace Code is just 9, for those of you who don't know, it's 9 tenets and practices that are all about mastering our thoughts, impulses, and emotions, seeing beyond the illusion of ignorance, chaos, and duality, and releasing our attachments to the physical world, the mundane world, what we think we know, and who we think we are. These 9 things together create this awesome foundation that allows us to really connect in with our peace and pierce the veil of our delusions. Because every time we're going on an emotional roller coaster, or we're projecting guilt and shame or anger onto people, my goodness, we are caught up in our egoic web, and it's causing not only ourselves suffering, but those around us. And that's something we really try to transcend in Living Peace, which is a huge part of the Dunisha lifestyle. So our vision and mission. Our vision and the first goal is to open a Dunisha monastery in the forests of Bayfield, Colorado. This monastery will be open to the public for inner peace and mindfulness retreats while providing extended stays for students in our clergy training program. For local members, the monastery will act as a peaceful home for weekly community gatherings and holiday celebrations slash ceremonies throughout the year. So I love this because this is the main reason why I moved to Bayfield. I've been coming here for about 10 years. And even Andrew has some childhood experiences here in Bayfield and Durango. And so it was really hard leaving the center and community I helped build in Arizona because I've developed so many amazing, amazing connections with people, so many close friendships. But here is the location that I've always foreseen having a monastery retreat center. And I say monastery because we'll get into that a little bit, but just a place that people can learn and come to for peace. And there's just something really magical about being in the forests and surrounded by rivers and lakes to do that. And we're very close by to some lakes, which is amazing. And I like having the 4 seasons. Just yesterday it was snowing, and that was something really special, especially for a desert Arizona boy such as myself for the first 28 years of my life. So once the monastery is open, our next goal is to open up smaller Dunisha sanctuaries in various towns throughout the states to help communities heal from the many forms of past and present abuse still present upon our planet. Our modern monks will reside within these sanctuaries, providing a safe refuge for locals and acting as an education hub for any person seeking peace of mind, body, heart, and spirit. Dunisha sanctuaries will work closely with other local nonprofits, providing relief and outreach. And I really like what it said here about helping heal communities from the many forms of past and present abuse still present on our planet. And something, with my social media sabbatical, what really helped with that, which is interesting because when you're on social media, you see a lot more world news most of the time. But for me, when I took a step back from the constant information influx, I was able to see more clearly what was around me, and I was able to see more clearly of the people still suffering, even in our modern high-tech culture. And so my husband, Andrew, now works at a library, and he's an adult coordinator for different services and programs. It's really amazing what he's doing. He does so much outreach, and just seeing how much outreach public libraries do. They're not just for books anymore. They do so many programs for different communities that might be struggling with something specific. And that just really has inspired me lately to elevate not only consciousness, but peace. But as I often say in Living Peace, a lot of peace words here, peace starts within the home. And so when we can educate people on understanding the ego and how emotions are impermanent and how they come and they flow, we're able to actually shift our society more in a direction that is unifying rather than separating. Because my goodness, it still astounds me how many people preach kindness, yet when the going gets tough, or when money is involved, or when politics or religion are involved, the kindness is thrown out the window, and it comes down to, well, you offended me, or you don't believe the same as I do, or you're not of the same nationality or from the same country as me. And all of a sudden, a huge separation occurs. And the human dignity and decency and kindness and compassion takes the back seat to our anger, our fear. And that's something every single one of us can participate in on a daily basis of helping to teach. And so I love programs that do that. And my hope is that in Dunisha sanctuaries, we become this hub for teaching people how to not only communicate with their loved ones, but communicate among all diverse lines of peoples throughout the world, because that's really ultimately what's going to bring our world together, so we can stop recreating these patterns of conflict and human-made tragedies upon our planet. And again, this also goes into just helping other outreach programs that are already occurring. It could be helping homeless individuals, it could be helping people with huge addictions, people struggling with domestic violence, people struggling with just making ends meet. I just love this idea of having a safe haven for individuals without any strings attached that people can come to and seek shelter. And the long-term goal that I really want to work on is the foster care program here in the United States and even throughout the world. There are so many children who are stuck in these abusive situations that are not receiving necessarily an education, but even beyond that, they're not receiving loving kindness because the individuals taking them in don't have inner peace themselves, and it's not their fault. But when you have individuals that are helping children and helping others that are coming from a place of inner peace, when the ego is over here and not right here, what happens is that the next generation is going to be so much more prepared for adulthood. Because right now, what often occurs is that children who are not receiving the guidance in being able to understand life skills and understand their inner peace are then becoming adults who are not able to do the same. And then they have children and they're not able to pass on. And so it's almost like we become a culture without the elders. We become a culture without, these strong role models that can really teach us how to embody kindness, how to embody patience, how to embody peace and love. We all talk about it, but when the going gets tough, do we actually show up and respond from that place? And unfortunately, right now, the answer is usually no. But that is why we're creating this church, this community. That's why Living Peace exists. And that's why there's so many other spiritual communities out there and so many amazing books and resources for individuals. It just takes that opportunity and time for us to show up and say yes and do the work that it takes to transcend our patterns of self-abuse and the abuse that we often unconsciously inflict upon the people around us. And so the next section goes into membership, which I really won't go into right now. I will put a link at the bottom of this video for anyone who might be interested in supporting either in just a very simple membership, no strings attached, by the way, or eventual donations throughout the year. So let's breathe that in. And I like this quote by Pema Chodron: "We don't set out to save the world. We set out to wonder how other people are doing and to reflect on how our actions affect other people's hearts." Isn't that beautiful? And so the last segment I wanted to conclude with was just some of the symbology. I'm actually going to be writing a couple books on Dunisha. I'll probably have one out by the spring, and then another big one called Living Earth out in maybe a year. That one's going to take me a long time. It's going to be thick, like Living Peace. While the one coming out in spring will be more of an introduction with all of this content in it. So exploring Dunisha spirituality and philosophy. The tree of life is our symbol, which the roots symbolize our connection and caretaking of the earth. The trunk symbolizes our stability through universal peace teachings and practice. And the branches symbolize our ever-expanding consciousness through study, self-actualization, and inner peace. Let's breathe that in. Excuse me. Our secondary symbol is the People's Bridge, a bridge that represents our ongoing goal to cultivate understanding, compassion, and communication between all people. In Dunisha, we literally and figuratively build bridges of connection throughout the world, with the belief that peace-oriented communication and education is the pathway towards global harmony. We celebrate and honor the cycles of the sun and moon, with our holidays being associated with the Earth's annual rhythms seen in nature, such as the solstices and the equinoxes. We embrace the Living Peace Code as our primary spiritual compass and philosophy. However, we respect and draw further inspiration from all teachings that help elevate humanity beyond conflicts within the heart and home and conflicts upon the earth between its peoples. Our belief in God is as diverse as the many members of our church community. We hold the belief that God is beyond our human understanding, similar to the belief of the before and afterlife. Therefore, our focus is much more on the present moment and present life, how to help all people come to know kindness, compassion, inner peace, and unconditional love. We believe that this way of living life is divinity in action. Our clergy are known as modern monks, people who have undergone years of study and practice and have taken their peace vows. A modern monk is someone who combines a semi-monastic approach to life while remaining very active within the modern world to help build bridges through peace-guided communication, connection, and selfless service. Deep breath. I love that. Just all of that together combined. Obviously, we have the tree of life and the people's bridge as our symbology, and I think that's really powerful. And then the celebration of the cycles of the sun and moon. I often say to folks that this is spirituality of the earth. It's just there already, it's inherent. And so, if you really look at the seasons, they have so much wisdom within them to teach us. And I'll make videos on that, and that'll be in the book as well. Living Peace Code, we already mentioned a little bit. And I really think it's important to talk about, or just mention again, our belief in God is as diverse as the many members of our church community. So many people place so much focus on the before and afterlife and then on the concept of God that it's almost like we forget that we're in the here and now. And that if our beliefs ever cloud our own judgment of how we treat one another, there's a bit of a separation there. And that is why we're not making that this huge thing in our church, because everyone is going to have their own personal connection to the divine, or maybe they might be agnostic or atheistic, and that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that, because it's all about the lifestyle we are living and walking right here, right now, and the kindness that we're showing others, the peace that we're developing within. As I like to say, we believe that this way of living is divinity in action. Divinity in action. After all, there is no separation between our spiritual life and our ordinary life. And living peacefully teaches us that everything that we do, no matter if we're walking, if we're eating, we're speaking, all of that is a moment in time where we can cultivate mindfulness, cultivate inner peace, and cultivate enlightenment. And so that is the primary focus. And so I have taught people from every different religion, or almost every different religion, and even ones that may seem very different than what we're teaching here. And what's beautiful is that peace is universal, and it's something we can all learn from. And that's why I love having communities of people from all different backgrounds. And again, that kind of goes with the People's Bridge. It's about building bridges that connect all of us. Pretty cool, yeah? So let's breathe that in. So I'm going to go ahead and end there. This is already a long video, much longer than I anticipated, but I think it's all juicy stuff. So like I said, I'll go ahead and place the link down below that connects to the website. And if you can also read all this on our website. And if you want to become a member, definitely feel free. It's just $25 a year. And then from there, you can choose, once we have our 501c3 status, to offer further donations, or even sign up for tithing. That will eventually be a write-off. The 2 years that I was a pastor of Earth Spirit Church, the number one leading factor of why we couldn't continue it was that we didn't require any tithing. And so really we weren't bringing in any, almost nothing each week, each month. And so for 2 years, it was mostly myself funding the church with just the little storefront that we had. And so it was coming out of my pocket. And then the little amount of donations that we were getting. And so it wasn't able to maintain itself. And that's why I realized just how important donations really, 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 really are to help communities thrive and to help one day build this monastery. I've been trying for the past 8 years to make enough money to do that, but unfortunately, if I do it on my own, it will take maybe another 40. So that's why churches are beautiful, because it's not only about offering services, but it's about bringing more people together to share in a similar mission and vision to create even bigger physical manifestations on the planet. And so for those of you who are interested and on board, I am beyond grateful. But again, we're just going to see how this unfolds, because it's really going to start taking off in January. This is just a nice little introduction. And even if you're someone that just wants to watch from home and enjoy the message and take it to heart and apply it to your life, that right there is amazing. And that is enough. And, you're contributing to more peace on the planet. And that is something to really take gratitude and comfort in. So we breathe in peace, we exhale love, and we know that all is well, and all is well, and all manner of things most beautifully well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah. Blessed be.